welcome to another episode of Adaptable Entrepreneurs. I can hardly say the word, with your host, Lisa Kipps-Brown. And tonight, my guest is Blake Hogan, who is the CEO of Bunker Labs. Everybody in the military probably is familiar with Bunker Labs, but for those of you who aren't, it's a 501c3 that helps connect veterans with the resources that they need to start and build and grow a successful business. So, Blake, I want you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your background.
Well, all right, Lisa, thanks very much for having me. Welcome to the mobile, command headquarters here. So we are in Chattanooga, Tennessee right now, and we just had a Bunker Labs roundtable event with entrepreneurs from our Veterans and Residents program, the university, the city, and others. So I got to tell you, it feels pretty damn good to be on the road again and with humans in 3D. And I thought, if anybody would appreciate me being in my F-150, it would be, the Lisa Kipps-Brown and your connection with NASCAR. And,
yeah.
Ford, if you're listening, thank you. They've been an amazing partner. Really, one of the reasons we were able to weather this storm. And my 2012 F-150 is like just starting to get broken in. So
awesome. So Ford is a supporter of y'all.
They are. I bought the truck before, but we would not be able to do the work that we're doing without Ford and JP Morgan and USA and others. And so I figure, hey, talk about adaptable entrepreneurs. It's like, well, we just did an event, and so this is the best spot that I could do.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm really appreciating you breaking away for a few minutes to talk with us. And I want to mention, some people might be like, why would a big company want to support entrepreneurs? The thing is, y'all, entrepreneurs are who build the businesses that end up being in their supply chain or create the new products that they can end up acquiring. So there's this whole ecosystem of business. So all big businesses want new businesses to continue to start and thrive, right, Blake?
Absolutely, yeah. And so I got excited about being in my truck and didn't actually answer the question. So
I'm sorry, and then I just started talking.
Yeah, right. So my name is Blake Hogan, the CEO of Bunker Labs. As a Marine veteran, Bunker exists to empower the entrepreneurial dreams of the military connected community. So if you're listening to this and you're connected to the military, whether you're active duty, guard, reservist, Vietnam, you're a spouse, we want to help you in your journey. And we do that through core programming of our cohort-based program. So we run Veterans and Residents, which is a 6-month business incubator geographically based around the country. We run CEO Circle, which and Veterans and Residents is for early stage companies. So you've got traction, some users, some revenue. CEO Circle is industry based. It's a 12-month program, more of a mastermind type experience.
Okay.
Well, that are later in their stage of growth. So they're really trying to become the owner, not the day-to-day operator. And then we have programs for our community leaders that we call ambassadors and facilitators that help support those programs. And if you're early in you just like, hey, I got an idea and I'm trying to see if this is right for me. You can go to bunkerlabs.org, click on Launch Lab Online, and go and test your idea. So whether you're testing an idea, you're trying to grow it, or trying to scale it, there's a Bunker program that can help you along your journey.
That is so cool. Tell me about the testing part. Is it just submitting information and then people giving you feedback, or what?
Yeah, great question. So while we have communities in 40 cities around the country, we'll never be everywhere that we could or should be. And so if you're listening to this right now, and maybe you're in South Korea on a base, or in Germany, or you're working a corporate job and you need to you got some brain space and you want to test an idea. So Launch Lab is all about giving you the space to do that. So our founder, Todd Connor, Navy guy, wrote the book called Third Shift Entrepreneur. And the whole idea was kind of two things. Keep your day job while you're building your dream job. And then number two, move forward based on evidence. And while that seems very simple, a lot of times you when you come out of the military, you're so used to like, I got to build this perfect plan. I got, show it until I'm ready to roll. But when you get out into this world of entrepreneurship, you actually want to do the exact opposite. You want to get something super cheap, super ugly, and see if people will give you money that's not your mom. And,
yeah.
So Launch Lab is much less about us telling you, filling out some form and saying, yeah, it's a good idea. It's about you taking that thing and going out in front of, the real world and getting feedback and putting that back into a feedback loop to determine, do you have something? And the end goal is you've determined two things. Number one is, do I have an idea worth pursuing? And number two, do I want to pursue entrepreneurship? And you might get through the end of and there's short snippet video modules and printouts. And, a good scenario is you get to the end of it and you're like, hell no, I don't want anything to do with it. And guess what? You spent $0.
Exactly.
Time. So that's what Launch Lab is. And that's how you can get involved with it. You can just go to bunkerlabs.org and click on it and get going.
That's really cool, Blake. I know that you can relate to wishing that you had that, right?
Yeah.
Tell them about your experience and why this is why it's so valuable to people.
Yeah. So I did the exact opposite. I'm not, it's like I don't know, whatever. I was going to say I'm not embarrassed or proud, but it's like I'm probably somewhere in between.
Well, and you know what? It's like my coach, Steve Sims, said, you got a PhD in life. You learned more from what you did.
Right. So, He did not go to Harvard, but I paid for it. So that being said, I'd love to go to Harvard someday. So Harvard, if you're listening, so we started a company called Vet Commander back 13, 14. And the idea was we wanted to help veterans get hired, and we wanted to work with employers and make it easier for them to find veterans. And the veterans were saying, hey, if only I could get my foot in the door and get some face time, I could show them why, my resume as, a logistician or a cook or an infantryman is relevant. Like, okay, great. Let's figure that out. We're like, well, maybe we can make it so you could have virtual FaceTime. So we developed this, Tinder-like app where you could swipe through, and as an employer, you could post a job along with questions, and the veteran can answer those questions in short snippets. So good idea in theory. We could have tested the idea for free. We could have taken FaceTime or Skype and a PowerPoint, because the goal was we would be a plugin for Indeed or Monster.
Yeah. Right? Okay.
And so we would just be software as a service for them, and whatever. So, but what we did was build a very big piece of software before we brought it out for the world to see.
My God.
A very expensive.
I'm sorry for laughing at you, but I'm really laughing with you, Blake.
No. Hey, look, everything happens for a reason.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, so we built a very expensive piece of software. We put it in front of folks like Indeed and others, and like, yeah, hey, we kind of like it. Do you think you could make it do this? Or do you think you can make it do that? And me not being an engineer, I was like, yeah, of course, no problem. So I went back to the team and said, can we do this? And they're like, are you out of your damn mind? Like, that's another 6 months. That's another $100,000. And the partnership just imploded. And we were, running out of money. We're running out of patience. And it's a shame, because I still actually think there was like some merit to the idea.
Yeah. And I bet some of those people, who knows what they might even be working on based on what they saw y'all do. Because that's where the best ideas come, is from stealing from other people.
Right. Yeah. Uh, it was a great lesson. And, when we launched a company here in Nashville, 2018, a company called Breakaway Safety Solutions, we really did it out of sort of a civic answer at first. Shortly after the shooting happened in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
the CMA Fest was going to happen in Nashville. So one of the, larger country festivals. The city and others said, what do? We got to make sure that this thing is safe. So myself and a couple of other veterans and entrepreneurs and artists got together, and all these folks were saying, well, what about counter snipers, and what about a Kevlar blimp? And the Marine in me, it was like, well, why don't we just make it easy for people to get out of here and put up
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Yeah. So then they said, well, great, can you build that? And I was like, no, I don't know how to build anything. I'm like, I couldn't build a website. I don't know how to fix a leaky toilet. It's just, and then figure it out. So we did, and we built, a 1x1 model out of a little pop-up banner. And then we built a giant one out of pieces of fence. And then we just kept, iterating on it until we found something that would work for them. We didn't have any industry experience. We had no industry relationships. So we couldn't fake it, right?
Yeah.
Like, well, fake it till you make it. And there's a big part of me that's like, there's some real like merit to that. But we were so honest. We were just like, we don't know. Like, how do you want to get this? Who do you want to get it from? How much do you want to pay for it? How do you want to pay for it? Mm-hmm. Where do you, what keeps you up at night? So it was all of these much more open-ended questions that led us to, all right, well, it's a 10-foot gate. It's, 2 5-foot sections with bases that can fit in the back of a pickup truck. It can be set up by one person in under 15 minutes, and it's less than $10 a foot.
Wow.
And
that's amazing.
So, within a couple of months, we built a product, put it onto CMA, and, in our first event, we had to, thankfully, due to weather, not due to anything else, evacuated 20,000 plus people in a matter of a few minutes.
Wow.
So now that it's a patent pending product, we've protected over 2 million people and evacuated over 200,000 people. And,
that is so cool. I didn't even know that you did that, Blake, until tonight.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, we have not been in high demand this year, but we were able to weather the storm, and we'll be doing big events here starting shortly. So
that's great. Crap, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I was going to say there's a benefit to not knowing anything about an industry and to being a total newbie, because then you can't take anything for granted.
Right.
And you don't assume that you know everything, and you're more curious, and you look in different places than the people who already, they're thinking within their own fences and not going out of it.
Well, right. And there was a bigger mission here, right? It was like, we weren't actually even thinking about this as a business. That we were really to a business was, we, at the event, some folks from Chicago, from the Chicago Marathon, said, how do we get this in Chicago? And
oh man.
And so I was like, and then just like off the cuff, I was like, well, we have a licensing agreement. We can license it. But then I had to go figure out how to put together a licensing agreement. And, we've, protected the Chicago Marathon. But yeah, it's just the curiosity is, I think there's, particularly from the military, there is a feeling that asking, the dumb question, or like, frankly, asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what you're doing. We were at the table with people from Homeland Security and FBI and the local whatever. And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I'm like, what do you guys need? What concerns do you have? Like, what are the crowd patterns that give you anxiety or whatever? So it ended up being a blessing in disguise. And I would just encourage other folks that are out there, if you've got something, being part of the military, it's kind of like being a student where you get to say like, hey, I'm a student. Can I ask you a question? It's like, hey, I'm a veteran and I'm in this thing and I'm doing this. Can I ask you some questions? And, that's, as the saying goes, if you want money, ask for advice. If you want advice, ask for money. In our case, it was true.
And that's the exact opposite of what you did with the other one. And I know the other one you were planning to start a business, and this one you weren't, but you got to prove your concept, and you got to iterate while you weren't risking anything.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure that there's going to be a huge demand for that once everything starts opening back up.
Yep. Yep. Yeah,
so you helped open, before you're the CEO, you helped stand up Austin and Nashville Bunker Lab, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when Bunker Labs is in a city, is it like members? Is it just, how do y'all work that?
Yeah, great question. So Bunker started 15, 14, in Chicago, with this idea of, could we empower the dreams of the military connected community? And could we get, the challenge, the problem that we were trying to solve is our networks sucked. We got out of the military. We didn't have good professional networks. We didn't have good financial networks. We didn't have great business networks. And we said, this is a solvable problem. After World War II, you had 16 million veterans come home, and almost half of them went on to own or operate a business. So if I wanted to figure out how to get into business, I would have just gone down to the Legion and into somebody, and I would have said, hey, what did you do? And she would say, well, I did this in the Navy, and here's what it looked like, and this is what I'm doing now. We don't have that now. We've been at war for going on 20 years now.
So hard to believe. Yeah.
And so what Bunker was in its earliest days was absolutely an alumni organization, right? And in 2019 we did over 200 events, and we had 15,000, 16,000 people at events across the country.
Wow.
2020 the world changed a little bit, and so our focus is around our cohort-based program, which we run. So when you say, what does Bunker mean? In Nashville, it's veterans and residents. It means we run 2 cohorts a year that are for early stage entrepreneurs.
Okay.
In other cities, it means CEO Circle. It means later stage entrepreneurs that are industry focused and are trying to scale it. So we've gone from a chapter based focus to, well, what does that mean? If I've got a chapter in Columbus, Ohio, does that mean we can have one in Cincinnati? And now we can say it's around these core programs. It's around veterans and residents, CEO circles. It's around really strong local ambassadors that support those programs. It's along really great facilitators that get into those huddles and help them facilitate. So, well, I don't have a massive growth goal for Bunker right now. My goal right now is where we are. I want to have an impact where we are.
Yeah.
That being said, if you're in a location where there's not a cohort and you want a cohort, I want to know about it because we want to help, whether it's us or whether it's somebody else. So that, what Bunker is small groups of entrepreneurs in a community doing the hard work to make their dreams a reality. And if you're listening and you're interested, you can go to bunkerlabs.org. You can apply for one of those programs. If you're further in your career and you want to help one of those programs or one of those entrepreneurs, you can go to bunkerlabs.org and click on an industry group. You can click on a location and directly connect with entrepreneurs that you can help.
And y'all do it. My friend Monifa Keynes just got accepted, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago in the workshop at Macy's because of y'all, I think, and or at least helping her or whatever. And I know she's so excited. It's like the oldest vendor development program, I think, in the world, I think.
Wow.
I read.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just so cool that she got in that. And, I know a lot of other people who've gone through programs with y'all or who are in veterans and residents and things like that. So I see firsthand how much it helps people. But the other thing is for people who are not in the military, and if you can't access Bunker Labs because you don't have any military affiliation, you still need to please seek out a network or seek out a coach, mentors, mastermind, maybe a therapist on top of it, because nothing helps more than having other people to talk with, does it, Blake?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and you bring up the point about therapists, and I think that the military has its own challenges with mental health, and I wish we just talked about it like brain health, because you go to the gym to get stronger, get your body stronger. You should go, to a therapist or read or what have you to continue to strengthen your mental resilience. And
Yep.
this last year was a very challenging year for our country. It was a very challenging year for entrepreneurs, and for the first time ever, I was like, what, I need to see a therapist, and so I got to spend time with an amazing guy that all he does is meet with entrepreneurs, and
that's cool.
And and it was a phenomenal experience, and so I would and now I never deployed, and I wasn't in battle. I wasn't one of those real hardcore Marines. I was just kind of like like a Boy Scout kind of, but it was still, when we were doing that thing in Austin with that tech company, that was one of the most stressful experiences I've ever had, and I didn't have the words to articulate what it was at the time, but I mean, it was a real mental drain. And if you're listening to this and you are having a hard time, number one, you're probably doing something right, because this shit's hard.
It is.
And number two, you are no good to your business, to your family, to yourself if you don't take care of yourself. So, get over it, get over yourself, and go out and seek some help, just like you would go to an accountant to fix your books, because it's the same damn thing.
Exactly. And I tell people, and therapy is professional help. But if you need some kind of medication for depression or anxiety or whatever, hello, if you have high blood pressure, you're not embarrassed to take medicine for that. Or you need to take some kind of heart medication or whatever. So look, y'all, the brain is part of the body. And I don't know where the stigma came from over all these decades, but I'm going to tell y'all, I've been on an antidepressant for 15 years now. Now I'm afraid to go off. But at first I was embarrassed. I was really embarrassed to even tell my doctor that I was depressed and felt like I needed to be on something. I'm sure part of that probably came from the trauma of my grandfather killing himself, my grandmother trying to, and, having people whisper, those are those little girls, blah, blah, blah. So maybe part of it, but I don't really think that's it. I think it's more just society in general that we tend to be ashamed. So, hey, I'm coming clean. Blake's coming clean. So y'all get out there and come clean.
Yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
And Ford, if you're watching, this is just water.
Yeah. Well, mine is hard seltzer. Vizzy, if you're watching, sponsor us. Sponsor our NASCAR team that combats veteran suicide and also promotes nonprofits like Bunker Labs so that they can continue helping veterans. Right, Blake?
Yes, ma'am.
So, all right. So we've heard a bit about some of the stuff that you've done and some of the programs. And I'm going to let you go in 5 minutes because I know you need to get back into your program. But can you think of anything that you think is the coolest thing that you've seen at Bunker Labs, or the biggest lesson or anything like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to tell you a story of an entrepreneur I just connected with here today. So, Gable Eaton is a Marine. He's got a company called Tech Touch, TEQ Touch. So you can go to techtouch.com. And it's a product he developed years ago that looks almost like a little rubber thimble that you can put on your keychain, put it on your finger, and if you got to touch it public, touchscreen, ATM, grocery, pin pad, gas station, etc., keep your fingers clean. Well, so Gable was a part of some programs here in Tennessee, and didn't have great credit, didn't have a ton of capital, got connected to Bunker, through roundabout ways, and he is now part of our veterans and residents program. And he just shared his story. He said, look, I wasn't formally a part of a Bunker program, and I didn't connect all these dots, but I realized over the years that I ran into this person and this person and this. And he said, when I needed a loan, I kept getting turned down, and I kept getting turned down, and nobody would take it. And he emailed me, and he emailed a couple of other folks, and we said, well, yeah, let's get you connected to Pathways Lending out in Nashville, Tennessee. And they said, look, you're not ready. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to get your stuff in order, and we'll help. So he, throughout the course of our veterans and residents program, he's gotten the loan, he's gotten the capital, and now he's gotten the biggest orders he's ever gotten. And now he's having a hard time keeping up with it.
That's a great problem to have.
Right. And, and just like it was, dogged persistence on his end to say this thing, it's 2016, 2017 that he developed the product. And, put his savings into it. And then, was on the line and like, is this going to work out? Is it not going to work out? Am I going to be able to get the capital? And he was humble enough to ask, and he was, humble enough to go to lots of different places. And, lucky enough for us, we had some folks that were able to help, and, they could have just said, "Ah, the hell with it. You're not there yet." But they leaned into it. And that's the thing that's unique about this community is, we're saying like, just, show me what some of the steps are to get closer to the finish line, and they'll blow through it. So, Gable is a story, like many others where, this was just true to who he was, and he was going to continue to do it. And now he's got the cash and the runway and the space to do that. And then we've also, we've got stories of folks like, Mike Anderson from stash.com, which is I think Airbnb for storage, right? So you can rent out your garage or your
okay.
Or Mike has raised millions of dollars, and there's no reason he couldn't IPO and be $1 billion company.
Wow.
And he was a part of our veterans and residents in San Francisco and in Nashville. And and Mike's a guy that probably didn't need the help, right? But he was somebody that wanted to be engaged with the military community, has been a huge supporter of his fellow cohort members and helping them raise capital and helping them get in front of the right people. And that's kind of what's different about Bunkers. We made the decision early on not to be a tech accelerator. It's companies like from Gable all the way to Mike Anderson, and there's value in them working together. Now we're going to continue to get better and separate those groups into industries and et cetera. But we've got this small unit leadership that bonds us from the military. And, without wrapping a really strong community of business leaders and capital and et cetera, we would still be talking about what we want to do instead of doing it like Gable is.
True. That old saying, it's not what you know, but who you know, and being able to be plugged in with people. And, the whole 6 degrees thing, you never know who somebody that you never know who they might know or who their friend might know. And I want to say earlier, I said, oh, that's a good problem to have about keeping up with orders. I do want to warn y'all, though, that growing too fast can also be one of the worst problems. So I said, yay, that's a great problem, but it's only a great problem if you can manage it.
Right.
The first business that we owned, we went through major growing pains because this was back in '90 when Tom retired from the Navy. We were growing so fast, we just couldn't keep up financially, time-wise, or anything. And we had to put the brakes on. So yes, it's a great problem, but you have to manage it because it literally can make you lose your business if you can't keep up with things.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, Blake, I appreciate you giving us your time because I know you pulled out of that event to do it. I'm so excited to get to know y'all and to get involved with you. I want to tell y'all, Blake is going to be in my book, Disrupt Your Now, and Todd was already in it. Todd, the founder of Bunker Labs and the author of Third Shift Entrepreneur that he told you all about. He was on my show last year and he was already in the book. So now Blake's in it too.
All right.
So y'all got to keep your eyes open to learn some lessons from these guys. And I will see y'all next Tuesday for the Disrupt Your Now show. Thanks, Blake. I appreciate it.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.